Hey guys, how you doing today? We have on this episode of Get to Know Your New Breed Black Belts, Kerry Murakami, also known as Kato, after the Bruce Lee character in the Green Hornet. For many of you who don't know who Kato is in the Green Hornet, that's Bruce Lee, as stated earlier. You guys might be way too young for that, but this is the real life Kato, or as I like to call him, North Shore Steven Seagal, because I hear some of his stories are legendary. So, Kato, can you sit there and give a quick little introduction of yourself? Go for it.
Sure. Just finished or completed my 27th year in law enforcement. I'm a cop here in the Chicagoland area. Started Jiu-Jitsu in 2000. Yeah, been kind of training off and on ever since.
So, Kato, 27 years on the force. I know this is going to be a dead giveaway. How old were you when you decided to go into the law enforcement?
I got hired on at 23, so I'm 50 now.
23? So for
Yep.
some of you young jocks that have no jobs, no, I'm sorry. I'm just messing around. But so guys, like 27 years in the force, I know you've seen a whole bunch of bad stuff, a whole bunch of good stuff. Let's start everything out with what's your favorite story? A nice story that you're allowed to disclose.
Well, I always joke that every cop's got a good poop story, a good shit story. And, you know, I happen to be, working, and we had these hotels that a lot of ex-cons used to come visit. And I'm sitting there minding my own business, and I hear, help, help. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, turning on the radio. I hear, help, help again. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. So I get out of the car, I start looking around, and I see there's a bunch of doors in front of me. I'm like, man, I hear help. So I call it out. Naked guy comes popping out of one of the doors, and I'm like, whoa, okay. So I start walking up to the door, calling it out, saying, hey, he's in one of these three rooms here. And I look down, and I'm like, there's a trail of shit going into this room. I'm like, he's in this room, blah, blah, blah. I start pounding on the door, and I hear help, help, and I'm about to bust this door in, and there he is. He swings open the door naked and just shit all over the place. I'm like, okay, what do we got here? Basically, he it was Friday, got paid, and he was enjoying himself with three ladies of the night, and they were not too partial with him enjoying the youngest of the three. And so the older two tied him up, and they had this pickle, and they said they were going to do certain things with this pickle, and he literally shit the bed. So that's my shit story.
They never actually did anything with the pickle, though. If I remember, I vaguely remember the story and stuff like that. I don't think
Correct.
yeah, they never did. They
No,
just threatened. They made the threat,
correct.
and
Correct.
it was the threat of the pickle that made him shit his pants.
Correct.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, that's how that's the way.
Yeah.
As soon as you started
Yep.
telling that story, I was giggling already. I was just,
Yeah.
I know the story.
That's my shit story.
So, for those of you who don't know, and probably all of you know, again, this is really for all the New Breed Training Center students and all the affiliates, and many of you already know. Kato is one of our newest black belts. He received his black belt on November 11th, with last year, 2019, at our 15-year anniversary. Very special moment for all of us. Clearly, Kato, you were there. Special moment for yourself.
Right.
I forget exactly, because we're two of the elder statesmen here. How long have you been training jiu-jitsu? Because you were training a little bit of jiu-jitsu, combatives and such, before you walked into New Breed when we were still situated on Badman in Skokie, correct?
Correct. So I started in 2000 with a Pedro Sauer purple belt and blue belt. They opened up a place in, where was that? I don't even remember what town that was in. I want to say it was it was just what, Hoffman Estates or something like that. And was there for a couple years. And then they closed down. And then I started training with a couple of my coworkers, just in, garages and at the department. And then I went back to Kearns, and I trained up there for 6 months, commuting back and forth. But that just got to be too much. And I was bringing both my kids, and I'm like, I can't do this commute anymore. So that's when I happened to be on the underground, and I saw you guys were moving from Evanston to Skokie, and I'm like, no way. And yeah, 2008, January 2008 is when I stepped foot in New Breed in Skokie.
Yeah, I think you were the first, if not the first, definitely in the initial wave of first responders that we all just started getting in. It was literally yourself,
Sure.
Weitzel was in there,
Right.
a couple other ones too. And it was yourself, and then all of a sudden, just a wave of first responders just started showing up.
Right.
You're the pioneer. You're the elder statesman. Not the first police officer
No.
that we gave a black belt to, but definitely the most accomplished. I'm going to say that again, like Asian Steven Seagal. So again, the stories are legendary. Let's change topics real fast. Have
Sure.
you ever, don't mention names, have you ever pulled over any one of our students for something?
Yes, I have.
Yes, I like it.
Yes, he was young.
He was young? Perfect.
He was young.
You still just floss him a little bit and just kind of like do a little, you should have, I would have.
No, he was pretty nervous.
Did he even know it was you?
He
Initially,
now knows. He didn't know. No, not that. This was even before New Breed.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
This might have been in the 90s.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That narrows it down a little bit. So immediately I can kind of tell who you are. So I'm going to also kind of change the topic too. My younger brother, back in the mid 90s had, and I don't, you like, we lived in the area that you patrol at that time. And, ended up happening is my younger brother used to have an airsoft rifle, and he used to sit there and shoot random stuff. He would shoot cars in the Niles West parking lot. He would shoot government light things and so forth and so on. Oh God, you just said it too earlier. So were you on the force already in the mid 90s or no?
Oh yeah, I started in 93.
Exactly. So absolutely you were in there and stuff. It was right around that time. 93, 94. Specifically 93. Did you ever get a call about my younger brother shooting out government lights and shooting out aluminum siding and stuff from our neighbors?
There were calls down on that street.
Were there? Oh, that's great. Would have been great. Like, I remember, do you know Officer Chico?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy who came over. So that's the guy who came over. Like now, hindsight being 2020, of course, and now that we're grown up, so to speak.
Right.
It would have been great. Would have been perfectly great if you were the one that actually sat there and showed up. And if you showed up in 08, in January 08, walking in through the door, I'm like, I know you. That would have been great. That would have been hilarious. But unfortunately, things don't happen the way that we planned.
Yeah, exactly.
So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, why? And I'm sure we're going to get to this answer.
Sure.
I'm sure we're going to steer right into this with this question. But why did you choose Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? And I know we're going to get. I know kind of where. I know where we're going with this. But all right. Why did you choose Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
So this actually dates back into the 80s. I happened to be in grade school, and I heard about the Gracies in the 80s. And I was an avid martial artist, but I avid watching shit and reading stuff, but my parents couldn't afford martial arts, so that just didn't happen. So I happened to read an article, or maybe it was an ad or something like that, about this Gracie challenge thing, and I was telling kids in grade school, I want to say it was like 8th grade, maybe 7th grade, And I'm like, oh, this Gracie Challenge thing, it's like a grappling thing. So I was like, cool. Well, now fast forward into 90. I actually was training. I started, making a little money. I started training Aikido. I did that for like 2 years. And then at a point, I was just like, I was training a lot, 3-4 times a week. And I'm like, this shit just wouldn't work on the street. And I'm like, this is just not real. I'm like, who attacks people with the sword? I'm like, nobody. You just don't get attacked with the sword anymore.
I do.
Bullshit.
I'm joking. I do. I wish I could still carry a sword. It'd be great. But anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Machete, maybe.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
So I'm like, yeah, this is bullshit. So, of course, then 93 happens, and the UFC, and I'm like, oh, okay, and I started working, and you just get busy with working and whatnot, and living, and thinking about training just didn't happen. And it was in, I want to say, early 2000. A buddy of mine, a coworker at the time, was like, hey, I know this guy. He's a purple belt, and I'm like, he's opening up a place, and I'm like, I'm in. So if I'm not mistaken, there's just 3 of us that are left that are still training. So Weitzel's one of them. Him and this other guy who's now with another department. The 3 of us are still the only guys who are training. And there was probably maybe 6 or 8 of us that started from our police department. And pretty much, yeah, I've had some lulls, but I haven't really stopped since.
If in your opinion now, and I kind of know the answer already, but in your opinion then, would Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu be the first thing or one of the most important martial arts, if you will, or combatives that you would sit there and have a trainee, a police officer trainee go through, enroll into or partake in the academy?
For sure. Yeah. I really think that BJJ is probably the most applicable. Let's just put it for most people to train and not really get injured, right? We can still spar really hard. The chance of getting injured is pretty low. But I would add in a lot of wrestling, like Greco wrestling, upper body wrestling. I mean, even judo. But as we all get a little older, wrestling and judo is pretty hard on the body. But if you can get that in the police academy, between wrestling, judo, and jiu-jitsu, that's for sure. That's the great combo.
In your opinion, and I know that we've had discussions many
Sure.
times, and in your opinion, why is it that some police officers refuse to get outside training in general, much less, much more Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? In your opinion, if you had to take
Right.
it, is it time? Is it money? Is it?
Yeah. So there's, I've said it for 20 years. Cops are cheap and lazy. Those are 2 things right there, just cheap and lazy. And then what it comes down to is ego. Whether they're big. Here, we'll talk specifically today. We handled a call. It wasn't actually our call. It was an assist to another department, and that dude was 7 feet tall. And my boss, he's a pretty big guy. He was like looking up to the guy. I go, see, when we're in a training room, I go, hey, on occasion you're going to come across a guy who's bigger than you. Well, this guy was clearly bigger than you. This guy was literally 7 feet tall. But it comes down to ego, and they're like, hey, I'm a big guy. I don't have nothing to worry about. And
So
usually it's too late.
So in your opinion, then, what would be the best way to get those officers that, just might be concerned about their pride and their ego and stuff, things like that? What would be the best way to, I don't want to use the word entice, but get them into the gym?
Right.
Have their ass kicked on the job. I don't think that's exactly the greatest way to do it, but I mean,
right.
you never know.
that's an individual thing, you know. I mean, like for me personally, like, you know, I'm not a big guy, and I've always, you know, I always knew I was not going to be a big guy, and my always biggest fear was being the lowest common denominator. So like I always push myself. Yeah, I'm one of the oldest guys on the mat, but I'm still there. I'm still training hard. I will do my reps. You know, I push myself on the range. You know, when I got hired on the department, I was probably one of the worst shooters, and I specifically picked out a range guy, or a range guy picked out me. We helped each other, and he helped me become one of the top shooters on the department. And I've worked ever since, you know, to not be the lowest common denominator, because I couldn't live with myself if I was. So that has, you know, that's for me. But for everybody else, you know, I think, you know, we've been trying to change that. You know, there's a couple other groups out there that are looking to change the culture. And I think that's really the best way to do it. It's just, you got to have the culture. We've done that at our agency, you know, from the top down. You know, they support us, you know, and most of this stuff's been done from, you know, the bottom, and we worked it up. So yeah, there's no right answer as far as how to entice somebody. You know, unfortunately, you know, they're going to have to drop their ego and get themselves into the gym. And you know, some people, they, you know, first day they get choked by a, you know, 13-year-old girl, and they're like, oh my God, I love this. This is unbelievable. Like, I got to learn this. I'm never going to let that happen again, blah, blah, blah. You know, but, you know, every individual is going to be different. You know, I'm just like you know, all the black belts, you ask them why they started, you know, it's going to be a slightly different story, you know, but yeah, ultimately everybody's got to drop the ego and, you know, stick with it.
So, well, let me kind of change gears real fast on that, but still along the same lines.
Sure.
What would, from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if you will, and wrestling, I guess, what would be the 2 to 3 techniques in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu / wrestling that you feel, even 1 or 2, you know, 2, give or take 1 or 2, it's up to you, the most important techniques that every police officer should know?
From the wrestling perspective, I would say an underhook and tie. And then from a jiu-jitsu from a ground, like, you know, from being on the ground is basically like a knee shield from some semblance of a guard to get up.
No, it's funny you mentioned that. I was on a podcast myself where they asked the exact same questions, and I was all about no Greco wrestling, like something with Greco, an inside trip,
right.
Any one of your trips, foot, like any trips off the clinch, and literally I was talking about getting up. Just literally the art of getting up in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is such a huge thing. Well, in any art for that matter, in any self-defense situation or what have you, it doesn't really matter. Look at the UFC. A lot of the guard work in the UFC and mixed martial arts is just get up, kick them in the face, and get up, and you know, so that would swing away. So you know, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know, if I was going to add one more thing, it would be how to control somebody on the ground.
Pinning. Like, that was I said pinning. That too. Yeah, pinning somebody. Yeah, it's literally those are the exact 3 things that I mentioned too when I was asked that. That was on a live stream with Matt Layton and James Kelly for their school. I was on there, and they asked me that exact same question, and I've always wanted to get that from a police officer's perspective too. I mean, like, I have been, you know, in the grappling arts for over 20 years, and, you know, I've gotten my fair share of street fights and such and so forth and so on. But, like, you know, now knowing what I know, it's about determining, now knowing what I know and all the experiences I've gone through, those are the 3 most important things that I kind of figured was the best part. So thank you for validating that. I actually know what the hell I'm doing then. Yeah, but, you know, you mentioned that you're one of the older guys on the mats. And for the most part, you are. I would say about 80% of the time that we're all training together in class and so forth and so on, you are indeed the older guy. Do you find that people and I'm not talking like the big 300-pound, 7-foot guy. Do you find like even people your age, I'm sorry, your size rather, height, weight, so forth and so on, but younger than you or more for like athletic than you and stuff, do you find that they sit there and take it a little too easy on you during training?
It really depends. I really don't think they do. I think some guys go real hard, and I'm one of the, I for sure, like, don't get me wrong, the whole thing with the Stasi white belt, and but if you really want to deal with people who are like on the street, if you're doing this for self-defense, like, go roll with that big Stasi white belt, because he's not going to go easy. He's going to be unpredictable, and he's big. He's probably younger than me and more athletic. So go roll with that Stasi white belt, and if you can survive, and good on you. But yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. It kind of depends on if you're tired. If I'm tired, I know how to protect myself. I know how to keep myself in good positions, get out of bad positions, get back to the top. But yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag for me, and I don't mind if somebody's going to go hard. Okay, hey, we're going to turn it on.
For the record, by the way, the only times I take it easy on you is when I know that you've had a couple different rounds and you start wheezing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
when I hear the labored breathing, I'm like,
right.
But other than that, I just try to kill you. Like,
Yeah,
when else can I sit there and beat up a cop and stuff?
exactly.
When Schultz comes in, so we'll eventually get him on here. So of course, gotta take a dig here.
Right, exactly.
But it's uh, how you've gone through your fair share of injuries, and
Oh yeah.
yes, you have. I've seen them, and for those who aren't super familiar with Kato, because Kato took a lot of time off, injury related, and of course life happens and stuff. But it's so somebody who maybe recently joined Newbury Training Center within the past maybe year and a half, 18 months, whatever, what have you, may have only recently seen Kato um, like a lot more within the past 6 to 9 months, something to that effect. But Kato has been around with us for a long, long time. What would you say in terms of injuries and ailments? Because once you're on the wrong side of 45, you got to call it ailments. They're not injuries anymore; they're just ailments. Because it's all the same at that point. What was the worst ailment that you've ever encountered?
Man, I've trained through a couple really bad sprained ankles. I've trained through two LCL. Well, I never had them MRI'd. But I was told that they were more than likely torn. I trained through both of those. Yeah, I mean, those would probably be the worst. A couple shoulder things. But I never took really any major time off of those. I would just train right through it and work around it. But there's always been something. Busted toe, jacked up finger. My last injury, probably the one that bothers me the most is an ankle injury I got from a class I was at. It was a Greco wrestling, basically like gunfighting class, and I got thrown by the judo black belt on kind of like sticky mats. I was wearing boots, and man, my ankle swelled up really bad, and I never took time off. I went right back to work, hobbled back to work, and people were like, "Hey, why are you hobbling?" And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about," and I just kept on walking.
It's called getting old, guys. It's called
Right,
getting old.
right.
So you mentioned that story is actually good, Linda. You mentioned gunfighting. So as an aside, is that anything like the movie Equilibrium with gun kata? You ever watch that movie? No, I like it. I love that movie.
I've
By the way. It's a great movie.
I've heard of the movie, but I have not seen it. It's basically a lot of gun grappling. We wear a gun every day, and there's a gun in every encounter and in every struggle, tussle, fight, whatever you want to call it. In my 20 plus years, nobody's actually grabbed my gun, but I've been in a handful of tussles, and that's never been an issue for me. But I've always worked on that specifically. So, but yeah, it's something I've taken to in the last probably 10 years, been really trying to focus in on it. And I've been getting to train with a lot of the top trainers, in the world. So yeah, been pretty lucky.
I remember when, this was back in 03, 04. It was back in 04. I saw Carlson Gracie Jr. At the time I was training with Carlson Gracie Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him down at the Fitplex down on LaSalle, 1235 North LaSalle. I saw him teaching a private lesson to a police officer, and it was literally all about covering your pistol as you were on the ground and how to get back up into a firing position. I thought it was the coolest thing I've ever seen and stuff. It was just like they were playing with, the plastic guns, the blue plastic guns and everything.
Right.
I thought it was really badass. And then, to see Junior with a blue gun in his gi belt. Right. There was no holster, right? It was just in a gi, shoved in there, gi pants and gi belt, just like this. And him just, being able to fend off a cop who's trying to go after the gun. And, kind of go from there. It was just like a random private lesson that I just walked into. I'm like, here, I'm going to watch. So whatever, just might as well. This is pretty cool. So, but it's funny you mentioned that. Like, so, these are things that I think a lot of police officers need to know. And honestly, not only that, now that they have concealed carry in Illinois, but I think it's some people that people need to train that all the time, which is a nice segue to say that if people don't know, Kato teaches a weapons-based grappling class at New Retraining Center. Right now, we were teaching it. Well, we were teaching it pre-COVID. We were teaching it once a week in the evenings, and some based on your schedule, of course. We were teaching it during the daytimes as well too. And one of the things that I've always sat there and thought about was having some sort of grappling class for civilians that apply for concealed carries, just so they understand some of the dangers of, like, hey, if you have a concealed carry, just because you can carry a pistol and such doesn't mean that you're now invincible and so forth and so on. You need to know some things. You need to be able to get back up into a firing position. You need to know that if people understand that you're carrying, that they're going to go after your firearm and try to use that against you, because that's the easiest way to take you out if they can. So I mean, like, I wish that there was some sort of not necessarily, requirement is way too strong of a word, but for me, it was something that, at least in the training portion of it, for those of you who don't know, if you're into firearms and you get your concealed carry, there's that initial 16-hour course that you're supposed to go to, which is like 8 hours of range time and then 8 hours of class time. And of that 8 hours of class time, it's really 2 hours of actually learning anything, and then 6 hours of having an attorney yell at you about what could happen if you shoot somebody at the wrong time. It's literally that. 75% of it is some random asshole jerk off, like they're just yelling at you, saying, like, if you shoot somebody and you don't have a reasonable reason to draw your weapon and fire, you're going to die in jail. Don't drop the soap. That type deal thing.
But I wish a lot of money too.
Exactly. You're going to lose a lot of money too. And I wish they sat there, and I wish that that attorney or whoever it was, that facilitator, would at least kind of, give more options to these concealed carry holders and so forth and so on. These people who are training to protect themselves, give them more options to further their learning. And I think the weapons-based grappling class that you teach is wonderful. I think it's awesome, especially for people who who have never done any type of grappling or anything like that. It's just a good introduction if you're into firearms and so forth and so on, and you want to learn to protect yourself some more in case you get disarmed
Right.
or you're in a situation, a close quarter situation. I just feel that it's something that somehow needs to be integrated. How are you
Right.
gonna fix that, Kato?
So, we're on the same topic. I think, having concealed carry. I mean, you can go, well, let's just stick with concealed carry, right? So you get your gun, you buy a holster, and you want to train, right? Well, hey, let's shake out your gear, right? Let's see if you can actually get to your gun. Number one, let's see if your gun, or as you draw your gun, does your holster come flying with it, or does it come flying out? Or while we're rolling, does your gear shake out? Does your gun just randomly flop out? Does your holster flop out? Yeah, I think you got to pressure test. So I mean, when you're training, you have an A game when you compete, right? That A game is what that's your tried and true techniques, and you pressure tested that against active resisting opponents, and it's worked. Well, you got to do the same thing with your gear. So if you buy a shitty $10 holster with a shitty clip, and that clip comes undone, and now your gun comes tumbling out onto the curb, you're kind of screwed. So we do the same thing at work. I'll pick up a couple guys and we'll shake out some gear and we'll see, and cuffs end up out over there, spare mag over here, flashlight over here. But yeah, you gotta shake that stuff out. So as far as offering more training, yeah, man, I'm all about training. So I would love to offer more classes, especially if I retire. We'll see what happens.
Well, for those who don't know, and I hope I can say this, your plan was to retire. Well, you're 27 years on the force. Technically, you're retired today, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
No. I'm still working, but my plan
you
is to retire in January.
But you could have, if you wanted to, actually retire today. You could have actually sat there and signed off, and that would be it, and we'd be done.
Correct.
And stuff. But for those who don't know, you still have to watch out for Kato. in his area, you still have to watch out for Kato for the foreseeable next 8 months? No, less than that. Yeah, 6 months, 7 months, if you will. So don't commit no crimes, guys. Kato's watching. Yeah, Big Brother, Big Brother's always watching, and so is Asian Steven Seagal. But any plans to further your tactical training career afterwards? Because you and I, we still have to have the discussion about trying to kind of get that set up. So I'm just saying.
Yeah,
but is that where you're headed?
We do, yeah, for sure. We definitely need to have that conversation. Yeah, I'm big into training. I really would like.
We're having a little audio problems right now. Give me a second. I don't know what's going on here. Let's see if I can save it. Mic check. There we go. Got you back. We good?
Yeah, there we go.
Perfect. There we go.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Big save, guys. Go ahead. Go for it.
So yeah, the training industry is pretty fickle. So I other than a local name here, just here from New Breed, and getting my black belt obviously helps, but I'm hoping to retire and go do something in the training arena.
You're a pretty humble guy. You've already had a name before. You didn't need a black belt to have a name, Kato. You really did not.
No, I get it.
No, but I'm excited to learn more from you and stuff. To be honest with you, it's just for me, it's time. I mean, I'm like you said, I'm on the competitive streak, but when that's all said and done, which may never happen. But when that's all slows down a little bit, I definitely into tactical training. My brothers, Mike and Miles, they both told me that one day you're going to quit jiu-jitsu and you're going to get into guns. So for those of you who don't know, I made three purchases with my stimulus check. That's all I did. Bought this mic right here, bought the desk that's on here and stuff. It looks like one of those things you serve dim sum on. And I bought a plate carrier. So I am going towards the whole tactical thing. It's not because I've been playing a lot of Modern Warfare and Call Zone where everyone's got a plate carrier, you can punch that stuff in, but like, no. But you know, you never know, guys. That's kind of where I'm going with that stuff. But anyways, let me ask you this. How important do you feel that, because you mentioned competition, do you feel that competing actually is the best way or one of the best ways to prepare for a real life self-defense situation? Because I always
100%.
think it is. And like, because people have come back on me and actually said that it's not an apples to apples type deal thing. And I see from the skill level, for example, if I go in and start playing lapel guard and start playing reverse Delaware and doing all this other stuff against someone, that's not going to emulate a street fight per se,
Right.
but the whole kind of conceptual nature of what we're doing actually prepares me for an altercation.
100%. Yeah,
So,
100%. So, I mean, here, you know, it was in 2009. I was 39 years old when I first competed. I was not like nervous, you know, I didn't have the jitters. I cut a shit ton of weight. And actually, there was nobody in my division at that Naga. And I actually went down into the 20, the adult division. You know, I'm like, I had 4, 5 matches. I was exhausted, but I wasn't nervous for any of it. And for me, I had been a cop for, you know, almost 15 years, you know. So for me, it was like, you know, I've been in scraps and scuffles and whatnot. You know, I've never been nervous through any of those. So why would I be nervous for a competition?
right.
So, you know, you learn to control your breathing. You know, you learn just deal with your nerves. You know, I 100%. You know, we do a little shooting competitions at work. I've never done any actual shooting, you know, competitions.
Three gun or anything.
Yeah, none of those, like, you know, IDPA. I think they're fantastic. They're going to build your skill level. You know, any competitive sports can build your skill level. Yeah, it's not apples to apples, but yeah, for sure, competing, you got to push yourself. You know.
So let's start wrapping this up. Is there
Yep.
anything that you want the students of Newbury Training Center and the rest of our affiliates, the rest of the members of our affiliates, is there anything that you want them to know about you?
Oh man, you know, I really don't have much to say about myself. I really don't. I'm just big into training. I love to train. I love to be on the mats. I love to be on the mats more than I get to in the last few years. But you know, if you want to get to the next belt, just keep training. You know, every belt you've given me has been a surprise. I don't want to know that I got a belt coming to me. I really don't. I just want to train and just get better and hang out with the Newbury family. And as you get better, you'll get that belt. That'll come. Just keep training.
Yeah, would that, because my next question to you was is there any advice that you would give out to, say, the guy who just maybe signed up and is maybe about 2-3 months into it, kind of gets it, but
Right.
not quite there? Any advice you would give it to that guy?
So, you know,
Other than what you just said, of course, because, you know,
right.
like, sticking with it, and just training, just focus on training and get improving is absolutely what we all should be doing. That art of improvement.
Sure. You know, this kind of ties into something that irks me when we're at the gym. You know, I come in for my class and half the people are sitting on the bench, and personally, it just irks me. You know, I'm like, man, get every time you're at the gym, get as many rolls in as you can. I don't care how flipping tired you are. Hey, there's a dude sitting on the bench, and the only time you should be sitting on the bench is you're odd man out. Otherwise, if there's a pair, you know, get your ass on the mat and just roll. You don't have to roll hard, you know, just roll. You're missing out on reps, you know. So to me, like, don't miss any reps, any rolls. You know, don't skip out when you're drilling. Get your reps in. You know, when you call time, that's when it's time to switch or stop. You know, if you see the buzzer going and everybody's going and there's one extra dude down there, he might be dog ass tired. I don't give a shit. Put on there, grab him, get on the mat. You know, yeah. Again, it's just a personal thing. It irks me. You know, I pretty much rarely ever sit out. You know, so there's times I'm dog ass tired, but I'll still roll.
I love it. No, I love it. It's every single time right before your weapons based grappling class. You'll come in on a Wednesday evening, and we'll be training.
Right.
And Wednesdays are actually kind of like the slower nights at the gym. It's it's the hump day, if you will,
right.
and slower nights at the gym. And you'll see us. We'll all be sparring and stuff, and you see people dog it. And I love how you just straight call them out. And you just straight call them out and just straight. You become the heckler on the side, the heckler in the stands, and I love it because that's typically the role that I play as I'm rolling. But I'm happy that someone else is there to play that role.
So the other piece of advice I give you or give anybody from Newbury, it doesn't matter. You got 3 months on. You're a blue belt. You know, if Mark calls you out and says he wants to spar with somebody. He wants you to go kill him.
Yeah, I do. I give. There are zero shits given by me. I want you to try to kill me.
Right.
Go nuts. This is not like unless I tell you I need you to do this or whatever the case may be. I want you to try to murder me, and that's okay. I don't mind. Don't be intimidated. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not the one of the last episodes that we did was with Babalu, with Coach Bob. If you mess up my face, I don't care. I really don't care. So just go ahead. I don't really care. I've had all the injuries in the world. Just keep going. So some last minute questions. All right.
Sure.
Little rapid fire. First gun, Glock or Sig? Go.
Right now, Sig.
Sig? Right now, Sig. Is it the P320?
320.
Oh, the 320. Really?
Yeah.
Really? Huh.
I like the modularity. Yeah.
All right. Let's go on. Favorite fast food?
Probably something like Chipotle.
Chipotle. Oh man, Carlson Gracie Senior. God bless him. Would absolutely love you. Thin crust pizza, deep dish pizza.
Deep dish.
Deep dish. There you go. Okay, is deep. Okay, so is deep dish pizza really pizza, or is it more like a casserole? Follow-up question to that. Some will argue on this. Some Chicagoans will actually tear you apart for this answer.
I would say it's a deep dish unless you go to what was a Chicago pizza and oven grinder down in the city.
Right.
That would be more like, to me, almost like kind of like a casserole.
Yeah, like a good old tuna casserole that that mom used to make and stuff.
Right.
The classic tuna casserole from the cafeteria. Ugh, disgusting stuff. What was your favorite deep dish pizza chain? Was it Bert's?
Yeah, it's got to be Bert's.
Have you been there?
Would be second.
Have you been there?
Yeah.
Have you been there since Bert's?
Oh yeah.
Since they reopened. I've had it one time.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
A little different, but in my opinion, it's still better than Pequod. That's my opinion.
I agree with you. It's all right. I agree with you. I was there when Bert's reopened, and I ordered a pie. I remember I went to an open mat at Seraphin's because I had ordered a pie, and it was their first night. And I went and trained, and I came back, and they lost my order, made one on the fly for me, and everything. And I waited an hour and a half, didn't care. I was like, I'm not leaving until I get a pie.
Worth it.
And it was so good. It's. I love Lou Malnati's. I love it. They're the best chain, but there's only one Birds. There's only one Birds. That's right there. And that's you got to go. If you haven't gone, go. They're not pizza Nazis anymore. You can order the day of, but before you have to order way ahead of time. But Kato, I know you're a busy guy. Clearly, you're at the department.
No, I'm at home.
You're at home.
Yeah, I'm at home. Yep.
You made your home gym then look exactly like the department gym. That's what it looks like.
I got wall mats. I got sitting on my mats right now.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing all of your experiences and time with us. Thank you for sharing more of yourself with the New Breed Training Center students. Also, just because you got the T-shirt on too, quick shout out to good friend Orlando. Who runs Health Kick Guys. A little quick blurb about Orlando. Quick plug. Go to Orlando. He 3-4 years ago he sat there and pulled me aside, and it was right about New Year's, and basically he sat there and he told me that if you want to get to that next level, you need to start really watching what you eat and nutrition, supplementation and stuff. And he sat there and all the multivitamins and stuff. Yo, guys, you guys should see the stack of pills I take in the morning every single day just to move and do things and stuff. And guys, go visit Orlando. He will help you out. All the protein you need, all the BCAAs, all that other fun stuff. But anything else you want to say to anyone else in closing?
No, stay on the mats, guys.
Yeah, thank you again, Kato, for your time. It was a pleasure, guys. Again, thank Kato. I would sit there and point to the imaginary crowd behind me and say thank Kato. But thank you, Kato, for coming on. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, Mark. And keep following us. We got more to come. Thank you again.